Hello, my friends. Welcome to this hip opening flow. I'm super excited because these hips need it. Only thing that you'll need for this class are really 2 blocks and a strap. If you have a blanket, any kind of blanket, or a bolster or pillow, grab those. We might use those at the end. If you don't have them, no big deal. I can show you a version at the wall where you don't need any props. That's that. Let's get started in child's pose. So bring your knees wide on your mat, bring your big toes towards one another to touch, and then gently press your hips back towards your heels. If this is too much, you can always roll a blanket, put it behind your knees, reach your arms out in front, and then you can place your forehead just down on the mat. Close your eyes. Start to take some inhales and exhales in and out through your nose. Allow that inward shift that kind of comes here at the beginning of class. It's kind of widely known in yoga classes, you've heard it before, where hip opening classes can sometimes bring up emotions. It's said that that area of our body can store emotions. So as we move through this flow today, I will just ask you to follow the concept of self-study. Just observing what comes up, how your body feels, kind of your emotional state. And just observing anything that comes up without attachment. Just take this opportunity to be with yourself here for yourself. Let's take a couple more deep breaths. On your next inhale, you can press into your palms, lift your forehead. Let's walk our hands over towards the right side of the mat. You can lower your head back down, and then make sure you're grounding down, pressing that left hip back towards the left heel. Take a couple of deep breaths here. On your next inhale, lift the forehead, walk the hands over to the left side of your mat. Press the right hip back towards the right heel. One more breath. Let's inhale and walk our hands back to center. Keep the left palm down on the mat, and then just thread the right arm through. Come onto the right shoulder. You can place your right temple down on the mat. This is like a thread the needle in our child's pose. Getting a nice twist through the thoracic spine and opening up that right shoulder. Next inhale, press into that left palm, lift the chest back up. Let's put the right palm down, thread the left arm through. Come onto the left temple. Couple of deep breaths here. Press down into that right palm. Bring both hands out in front. Let's press up into a tabletop position. So have your wrists underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips, and then take a few dancing lions. So just start to circle around on the mat, coming over the wrists, back over the heels. Go all the way around in one direction, and then switch directions and go the opposite way for a few rounds. Last one here. Back into our neutral tabletop. Let's inhale and lift the right leg long behind us. Maybe lift the left arm into a balancing tabletop. And then let's do a few lifts and lowers. So just lower the hand and the foot, then come back to your balancing tabletop. Keep a neutral spine and neutral pelvis. We're using that right glute maximus to help us lift the right leg. Let's do one more. Inhale it back up. Exhale, place that left hand back down on the mat. See if you can swing your right leg out to the right, keeping the foot in line with the hip, and then lower that right foot down onto the floor. So our legs are like in gate pose, and then walk the hands out in front into a little bit of a puppy stretch. This is like a mashup between gate pose and puppy stretch. It helps to open the shoulders and the inner right thigh there. One more breath. Let's inhale, walk the hands back up to center. You can place the right knee back in our tabletop. Let's inhale, lift the left leg long behind us. Lift the right hand. You can always keep that right hand down if the balance is too much. And then let's lift and lower the arm and the leg a few times. Bring your awareness into that big left glute muscle. Squeeze it to help lift the leg. Let's do one more. Place the right hand back down on the mat. See if you can swing this left leg out to the left. Place the foot down. Keep the left leg straight as you walk your hands out in front. Lower your chest down towards the mat. You can place forehead down. You can even place chin down. So allow the shoulders to open. Sit bones reach wide behind. On your next inhale, carefully lift up. Place the hands back. Place the left knee back. Let's curl the toes and lift the hips into downward facing dog. You can keep your knees bent. Press down through your palms, push the mat away. Maybe start to lower one heel and then the other towards the mat. Always keep your knees bent. If straightening the legs means that you're rounding through the back and not hinging at the hips, then keep your knees bent. That's all good. All right. Let's inhale and lift this right leg up, high to the sky. Bend your knee, take some hip circles. Move all the way around in one direction. Then the other, try to keep shoulders square. Lift that right leg up high to the sky. Bring the right knee in towards the nose. Let's plant that right foot, come down onto the left knee. We'll come into Anjaneyasana, low lunge. So grab your blocks if you need them to help you reach the floor. Shift those hips forward. Allow the pelvis to kind of descend down towards the mat. And just take a few breaths here. This is a pretty deep opener on the front of the left hip. We're going to do a little bit of twisting here. So if you're on your blocks, that's all good. Make sure you're off of that back left kneecap. Keep your left hand down on a block or the mat. Reach your right arm back, and you don't even have to touch the toes. Just reach towards that foot. Let's do that 2 more times. You can always put a blanket under that left knee if this isn't feeling good, or you could skip the leg part altogether. So after that 3 twists, place that right hand back down on a block or the mat. Curl the left toes. Let's just lift up into a high crescent lunge. So lift that left knee off of the mat. Inhale the arms up. Arms frame the ears. Right knee is bent, tracking towards the right toes. Bring the right hand towards the right hip, and then bring this left arm up overhead and back towards the right. Exalted crescent lunge. Take a couple breaths here. Another opener here on the front of our left hip. On your exhale, bring this left arm forward, swing it down, turn your feet to face the left side of your mat, and we'll take a wide-legged forward fold. Hands on hips, inhale. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward over the legs. Hands can be on blocks or the floor here. Allow the crown of your head to release. We'll stay here for just a breath. And then let's inhale, half lift, press your hands into the floor, and let's just do a few little knee rocks side to side. So bend the right knee, bend the left, and then just move side to side here, opening up through our inner thighs. Let's do a couple more here. And then we'll walk the hands towards the back of the mat. We'll spin onto the right toes. Left toes face forward. Walk this left foot out to the left a little bit into a high lizard lunge. So our hands are on the inside of our left foot. You can always have them on blocks here as well. Sternum reaches forward, and then let's just rock back and forth a little bit. Forward and back. Use those right toes to kind of propel you. Let's find some stillness. And then reach that left foot back to meet the right into a plank. And then from here, you can either take a vinyasa or meet in downward facing dog. Your vinyasa, you're going to exhale through chaturanga, inhale cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Take a breath here. Excuse me. Let's inhale, lift the left leg up high to the sky, bend the knee, take some hip circles with the left leg. Let's do 3 in one direction. 3 in the opposite. Lift that left leg up high to the sky. Exhale, bring the knee in towards the nose. Plant that left foot down on the mat. Come onto the right knee. We'll take Anjaneyasana here at the back of the mat. Grab your blocks if you need them underneath your hands. Allow those hips to shift forward. Keep your sternum reaching forward and up. Take a couple of breaths. And then we'll try the twists here. So right hand on a block or the mat. Make sure we're off of that back right kneecap. Reach the left arm back towards the toes. They do not have to meet the toes. Just working on our active flexibility here. Nice job. Exhale that left hand down, curl the right toes, lift up into a high crescent lunge. So arms reach up overhead, energy out through that back right heel. Exhale, left hand to left hip, reach the right arm to the left and back a little bit to get a deep stretch up the psoas here. One more breath. On your exhale, cartwheel this right hand down towards the ground. Keep sweeping. We'll come back into that wide-legged forward fold here at the side of our mat. Take an inhale, hands on hips. Exhale, hinge forward. Release the crown of your head for a breath. Let's inhale back into that half lift. Do those little hip rocks side to side. Bending through each knee. Opening up through the hips, the inner thighs, the groin. And then let's walk our hands towards the front. Shift your right toes to face the front. Come on to the left toes. And then heel toe that right foot out to the right a little bit, and we'll take high lizard lunge. Hands can always be on blocks here. Take a couple of breaths. Maybe start to rock forward and back. After you've done a few rocks, find some stillness. Step this right foot back to meet the left in a plank. Take your vinyasa or meet in downward facing dog. Your vinyasa, you can always come onto your knees for chaturanga. Take cobra. Skip it all together. You do you, your body, your practice. In downward facing dog, let's inhale and lift the right leg up high to the sky again. Bend that knee, take those hip circles one more time. Maybe notice if you feel a little bit more mobility or movement, a little bit more range of motion after we've started to open up the hips. Inhale, lift that right leg up high to the sky. Exhale, bring the knee in towards the nose. Plant that right foot, come back onto the left knee. We're coming back to Anjaneyasana, low lunge. So you can inhale forward, maybe lift your arms up overhead. Take a couple of breaths. This time we'll see if we can reach back towards that back foot. So if you'd like to use your strap, grab that now. You can have left hand on a block or the mat. Hook your strap around that left foot. Maybe around the sole of your foot there. Take an inhale. And then exhale, let's twist. Reach that right arm back. Maybe pull on the strap. Help open up the chest. Externally rotate that right arm. And then you can press that left foot into the strap as you pull. Open the chest. Alternatively, you could reach back towards the toes. Maybe grab them. Let's exhale, release. Right hand frames that front foot. Press down into the mat, curl those back toes. Let's lift back up into our high crescent lunge one more time. Arms up overhead. Exhale, right hand to right hip. Reach this left arm up and back overhead. And then on your exhale, swing that left arm down. We're going to come into warrior two at the back of the mat. So right toes face towards the left side of the mat, left toes face towards the back of the mat. Bend that left knee, shoulders stack over hips, arms reach in opposite directions. Let's inhale, reverse the warrior. Flip that front palm, reach the left arm up overhead, stretch the left side of the body. And then exhale, come into side angle. Left forearm on the thigh, a block, the mat. And then let's just flow here. Inhaling through reverse warrior. Exhaling through side angle. Inhaling through reverse warrior. Exhaling through side angle. Let's inhale back into reverse warrior. This time let's cartwheel the hands all the way down. Cartwheel the left arm forward. Right arm follows. Spin onto the back toes. Right hand lands next to the left foot. Open that left arm up to the ceiling. Revolved lunge. Take a breath here. Exhale that left hand down. Bring it to the inside of the left foot on a mat or on a block or the mat. Heel toe that left foot out. And then we can come onto that back knee for our lizard lunge here, perhaps. Stay high if you need to. And then maybe rock side to side. Maybe come down onto forearms or place blocks underneath your forearms. If you're on forearms, work to reach your sternum forward. I really like to rock hips side to side in this kind of lower lizard lunge variation. From here, come back onto your hands or the blocks, curl those back toes, step that left foot back to meet the right in a plank, you guessed it, vinyasa or downward facing dog. In your downward facing dog, take an inhale in through the nose, let it go through the mouth. Inhale, lift that left leg up high to the sky, bend the knee, take those hip circles on the left side again. I know that my left hip is feeling a lot more fluid than it did at the beginning of class. Inhale, lift that left leg up high to the sky. Exhale, knee to nose, plant that left foot, come onto the right knee. Maybe reach your arms up overhead, Anjaneyasana. Take a breath here. Exhale, hands down. Grab your strap and wrap it around the right foot if you need to. You can have your right hand on a block or the mat. Open up, reach for that back foot, and then press foot into the hand, open the chest. You should feel a pretty deep quad stretch here on that right leg, so don't take it too far. Use the strap if you need it. One more breath. Let's exhale the left hand down, come onto the right toes, lift up high crescent lunge on the left. Arms reach up overhead. Exhale, left hand to left hip, reach that right arm over to the left and back. One breath. Exhale, swing this right arm down, around to the side. We'll land in warrior two, facing the front of the mat. So we're warrior two on the right. Right foot is forward, knee is bent, tracking towards those right toes, shoulders down away from the ears. Inhale, flip that front palm, reach the right arm up overhead into a reverse warrior. And then exhale, flow into your side angle. Forearm to thigh, hand to a block or the mat. Long line up the left side of your body. And then flow here, back and forth. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, side angle. Inhaling, reverse. Exhale, side angle. Let's come back up into that reverse warrior. Here's kind of our windmill cartwheel move here. Right arm comes forward, left arm follows, left hand lands next to the right foot. We're on the back toes, open into our revolved lunge. One breath here. Exhale this right hand down. Start to walk the right foot over towards the right side of the mat. Lower that back knee if that feels good. We're back in our lizard lunge on the right. Maybe rock those hips side to side. Maybe come down onto forearms. Forearms don't have to be on the mat. You can always place your forearms down on blocks. Reach that sternum forward. Take a couple breaths. And then, when you're ready, come back up, move blocks out of the way, curl those back toes, step right foot back to meet the left, plank, vinyasa, down dog, whatever's calling to you. Let's all meet in downward facing dog. Take an inhale. On your exhale, start to tiptoe towards the front of the mat. And then let's place our feet to the outside of our hands. So to the outside edges of the mat, toes are going to point out about 45 degrees. And we'll lower into Malasana Yogi Squat. So start to lower the hips down towards the mat. Try to keep a long line in your torso from your tailbone up through the crown of your head. Maybe press the upper arms to the inside of the thighs. Malasana can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be so low. You can always place a prop underneath those sit bones also. Place your hands down on the mat or on blocks, and then let's just lift the hips like into a forward fold. Knees don't have to straighten. You can keep them bent a little bit. And then let's just kind of do some hip lifts and lowers here. Maybe have a knee crack if you're me. Last one here. Stay in that forward fold here. Heel toe your feet in to face forward and about hips distance apart. And then let's just roll it up one vertebrae at a time with our head last. At the top of your mat, shift your weight into your right foot. Let's inhale this left leg up into stork. So knee is bent 90 degrees, hips are facing forward. And then let's just open and close this left leg out to the left. If you're by a wall, you can always use that for a little bit of extra help with balance. And then let's step this left foot all the way back. We'll land in warrior two on the right. So right knee is bent. Gaze forward over those front fingers. Let's meet in Skandasana. So start to straighten your right leg. Shift your left toes to face the back corner of the mat, and then lower your hips down just like we did in Malasana, except this right leg is straight. Once again, Skandasana doesn't have to be so low, it can be high. Try to have the right toes pointing up towards the ceiling. One more breath here. And then let's shift to face the back of the mat. So you can come onto the right toes, heel toe this left foot out. You guessed it, we're back in that lizard lunge. From here, keep the knee high. Let's start to heel toe this left foot over towards the right wrist, and we'll land in pigeon prep. So come down onto that left shin, lower the hips, try to keep hips square to the front of the mat. If you're having a hard time keeping hips square, place a prop underneath this left hip. You can grab a block or your blanket to help prop you up. Come off of that back kneecap. Sometimes it helps to curl those back toes and then move that right leg back just a little bit to come off of the kneecap. Take a moment to get settled here, and then exhale, fold forward over that front leg. You can come onto forearms. You could have your hands on blocks. And just release here. We'll stay here for a few breaths. This is our opportunity here for that self-study, that self-awareness, noticing what thoughts might be coming up, noticing in our body where we might be holding tension. In this pose, for me personally, I always have to check in with that left outer hip and glute and see if I am just clenching, and then try to release. Sometimes focusing on taking the breath to that area of the body. I know physically the breath isn't, rushing to our body to a specific body part, but just focusing on the area while we breathe sometimes can help with that release. Let's take 3 more breaths. On your next inhale, slowly start to walk your torso back up. We'll actually come just onto this left hip. So you can rock onto this left hip, swing the right leg around, cross it over that bent left leg, and we'll come into half Lord of the Fishes. So our left heel is right here by our right glute. Right leg is crossed over the left. You can always straighten this bottom leg if this is too pretzely or intense. You can straighten that bottom leg. Inhale the right arm up overhead, and then exhale, twist to the right, place the right fingertips behind you, and then use this left arm to hug the right knee in towards the chest as you twist. Now you should feel stretch on the outside of your right hip. Stay here for just a couple of breaths. You can gaze over that right shoulder. All right, let's come back to center. On an inhale, we're actually going to continue twisting to the left. So continue twisting, press down into that right foot. Let's lift the hips, and we're just going to circle all the way back around to face the back of the mat. Keep the cross in the legs. That just happens naturally. So this left leg is crossed over the right, and just take a forward fold here. Should open up through the back of the right leg there. Let's inhale, half lift, uncross the legs. And then let's just rise all the way up to stand here. So we're facing the back of the mat. Shift the weight into your left foot. Inhale this right leg up into stork. Right knee is bent 90 degrees. And then start to open that right leg out to the right. Just externally rotating that right hip. Let's do a few of these. On this next one, as you take the right leg out to the right, step it all the way towards the OG front of the mat there. Right toes are facing the side of the mat, left toes are facing the back. Bend that left knee, warrior two. Gaze over the front middle finger. On your next exhale, let's shift to Skandasana on the right. So right toes start to face the front corner of the mat as we lower the hips, left toes face up towards the ceiling. Feel a deep stretch in that left inner thigh. And then let's come to lizard at the front of the mat. So shift your hips, place your hands towards the front of the mat. Right foot is out on the outside of the right hand. We'll keep it high here for just a breath. And then we'll shift the right hand to the outside as we walk that left foot over towards the left wrist. Come on. We're walking the right foot over towards the left wrist. Come onto the right shin. Wouldn't be a yoga class if I didn't get my rights and lefts mixed up. Am I right? All right. Hips face forward. Use a prop under that right hip if you need it. And then exhale, fold forward over the right leg. Can stack your forearms or your hands and place your forehead on them if that might feel good. You could always grab a block and place it under your forearms, under a forehead. Anything that would give you a little bit of support. And then as you breathe in this pose, check in again. Check in with your state, emotionally, physically. Check in with the parts of the body that we're working to open up here. Notice any tightness, any tension, any clenching. This is one of my absolute favorite poses. I'm known to do this one as my kids are in the bathtub. I just sit on the bathroom floor in pigeon. It's a great one to do at the end of the day. Let's take a couple more breaths. And then slowly inhale that torso back up, swing onto the right hip, bring the left leg around, cross it over the right, half Lord of the Fishes. Inhale that left arm up. Exhale, twist to the left as you hug that top knee into the chest. And now you feel the stretch on the left side. Kind of right to left, left to right. One more breath. Inhale, come back to center. We'll do that fun little twist transition again here. So continue twisting to the right. Lift the hips. Let's cross all the way around. So now right foot is in front of the left. Unfold forward. Let's inhale, half lift. Uncross the legs. And then we'll just slowly rise all the way up to stand. The next pose that we'll take will be frog. So I'm going to show first, since I'm standing, I'll just come to the wall and show a little bit of a modification. If you don't have a blanket or a bolster, you might want to take this one, or if opening the inner thighs might be a little bit too intense, this one seems to be a little bit less intense and more calming since we're on our back. So come to a wall, come to your seat, and then just simply come down onto your back. Your sit bones do not need to be all the way to the wall, like legs up the wall. You'll want to have a little bit of space here. And then all you need to do is just bring the soles of your feet to the wall and then have your knees bent about 90 degrees. And the purpose of this pose is using gravity to kind of help open up the inner thigh and the hip area. So if this is calling to you, you can take that now. This would be frog pose, like at the wall on your back. if you would like to take full frog pose, grab a pillow or bolster and your blanket. And I like to use a blanket in this pose to help pad the inside of my knees. Sometimes this one can be a little bit intense on the inside of my knees. So you'll want to have enough room on your blanket to where your knees will stay on the blanket as your thighs start to open. And what you'll do is you'll come kneeling on the blanket, start to walk your knees out directly from your hips, and then you'll have your shins parallel with one another, and you're on the inside sole of your feet. So the inside line of your feet will be pressing out, or pressing down, I should say, into the floor. So full frog pose is you slide down, can come onto forearms, maybe you can come onto your chest. Sometimes that can be really good for these more intense hip openers. Having your chest on the floor can give like a calming sensation to our nervous system. If you'd like to use your pillow or bolster, you can slide that to where it just rests kind of right on the top of your pubic bone, and then you can just release your chest onto the bolster. This one actually feels fantastic because you just get to rest everything as your hips start to open. So you can choose a pose that works for you. You're either at the wall or you're here on your mat using any props that you might need. And then if you're on the floor, before you actually settle into the pose, we'll stay here for a few breaths. You may just want to rock the pelvis kind of back and forth. That can also give a little bit of a nervous system calming component. This one can be pretty intense. So maybe see if you can find some stillness. If you're on the floor, just breathe. If it gets too intense, you can always just press down through the knees, back out a little bit, maybe take it at the wall, maybe find another prop underneath your chest. And we'll stay here and just breathe for a little bit. So this is another opportunity for that self-study. I know personally the thoughts that come up for me sometimes in this one is like, how much longer am I in this one? That gives me an opportunity to kind of assess my feelings around discomfort or being in situations that are not ideal for me at the moment. I kind of always tend to like freak out. How long am I going to be here? Take a few more breaths. If you start to open up a little bit more, you can always allow your knees to slide out. Let's take one more breath. To come out of this pose, if you're at the wall, place your hands on the outside of your knees, bring them together, and you can just roll to your side and sit back up. If you're on the mat, start to walk your hands back towards your hips, and then bring your big toes towards one another like child's pose, and then carefully just sit back towards your heels. Your legs will still be pretty wide, and just stay here for a moment and take a breath. Feel any sensation or tingling in that hip area. Then you can start to walk your knees in a little bit towards one another. Let's just come back onto our seats. Bring your feet out in front of you. And let's just windshield wiper those back and forth. So drop the knees to the right and the left a few times. Do this pretty gently. Let's do one more. And then let's move props, any props we were using, out of the way. And we'll come down onto our backs. So realign on your mat. You can slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time. Hug both knees into the chest. Maybe roll out your sacrum a little bit. Go one direction, then the other. And then let's extend the left leg long. And then grab on to yogi toe lock on the right foot. So that'd be peace fingers on the inside of the big toe, thumb on the outside. Or you could grab onto the outer edge of the right foot, or grab your strap and hook the right foot. We'll do a half happy baby here. So we're bringing the right knee in towards the armpit. We're trying to keep our sacrum and shoulders down on the mat. This is kind of like that lizard lunge, just on our back. You can do a lot of yoga poses, you know, in the opposite direction, just like that frog. You could take it on your back at the wall. Lizard can be on our back in a half happy baby. Let's hug the right knee into the chest, and then we'll take it into a spinal twist here. So keep the right knee going towards the left. You may need to come onto that left hip. Reach the right arm up overhead and open it to the right. Work to get both shoulder blades down on the mat if you can. Left hand can be outstretched, or you could place the palm on the outside of the right knee. Take a couple of breaths here in the twist. Last breath here. Let's inhale it back to center. Hug that right knee one more time, and then let's switch. Right leg reaches long. Hug the left knee in. Yogi toe lock, strap or outer edge of the left foot. Bring the left knee down towards the armpit. The sole of that left foot should be parallel with the ceiling. Just like we're standing on it. Lizard lunge on the ceiling. One more breath. Hug that left knee back in. Keep it going towards the right. Maybe rock onto the right hip as you cross that left knee over. Open that left arm up overhead and out to the side, palm facing up. And then my little trick here, shimmy the right ribs towards the right to kind of help get that left shoulder blade down. You can gaze over the left thumb. Let's take 2 more breaths. Check in with those thoughts again. Maybe you feel a little bit better now that you know the work is over. I love how this kind of moving meditation through our practice gives us the opportunity to just check in with those thoughts, observe what comes up for us. Let's inhale, come back to center, hug that left knee in, hug the right knee in. Let's reach both legs up into legs up the wall, without the wall, and then slowly lower them down towards opposite corners of the mat into our Shavasana. Lift your chest, tuck your shoulder blades underneath, and then check in with the back of your neck here. Maybe take a tiny little tuck in your chin, almost like you're hugging a golf ball, between your chin and your neck to help extend through the back of your cervical spine there a little bit. Arms reach out to the sides, palms facing up. Close your eyes. Release any control that you may have had on your breath while we were practicing. And just like we have been witnessing our thoughts, just witness the breath here. Maybe bring your awareness to that area around your hips, your pelvis. Just notice how that area feels. After focusing on it in our class today. I will invite you to stay here in your Shavasana as long as you would like. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Namaste.